Hello, Internet, and welcome to my several days late review for Tokyo Ghoul Re Episode 13, the season premiere of the final season. When we last left off on this fascinating adaptation, I really cannot wait to talk about all the really interesting ways, just the fact. So I'm going to go a bit of a tangent real early here. Ghoul's adaptation is weird, and it's not bad in the way that people always like to be like, oh, it does so much stuff different from the manga, it's garbage. It's not garbage. It's utterly fascinating. Because there is no way this 300 plus chapter franchise should be able to be covered in 48 episodes. And yet the first 36 worked just fine. You know, people like to shit on Rude. Rude is the best season of the series, first of all. It's different from the manga, but it's different from the manga in every better way possible. Rude is a masterpiece, and I will not hear any controversy on that. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the series. Really, the fact that I can genuinely see a way these last 120, 130 chapters get adapted rationally is amazing. This episode it's not great, but it's still amazing in its way. It was a really weird place for Ghoul to be, but Ghoul's always kind of rocked this. It's not great, but it's still amazing that it's happening. But yeah, when we last left off, the Tsukiyama operation had finished. Shirazu had died in a much better way than the manga did. Shirazu's death in the manga is the worst part of the entire series. It's complete bullshit. First of all, Sui Ishida. So I'm going on a huge complaint before we even start on the chapter here. Sorry, this is going to go on for a while. I feel like this is going to be at least half an hour. We're super sorry. But Sui Ishida cannot draw a fight scene to save his life. Sui Ishida has beautiful still panels, but as soon as action happens, everything is lost. And having like one of the big fights of his arc be against Noro, who is this amorphous blob monster, makes that whole fight just... You're not really feeling the feelings, you're just like, what the fuck is going on the whole time? And then Shirazu dies, and then the anime gratefully, amazingly cuts out the part where he tells Urie to let his sister die, which is the stupidest plot development in the series. And thankfully Urie does not, because that was just fucking awful. But yeah, that did not happen in the anime, because the anime is decent, and does not try to shit on Shirazu's character as he's dying. Because Shirazu is the best. Besides maybe Psycho. I love Psycho. But none of the Quinces are here this episode, besides a quick little flash of them that might be a flash forward and might not be. I sure hope it's a flash forward because it covers a lot. But anyway, the first thing we get is a definite flash forward, and that's the entire cast reacting to the dragon. Which will mean nothing for anime onlys, because the words haven't even been uttered yet. But for manga readers, we see the dragon on the promo. This video, by the way, will be mostly manga spoiler free. The name dragon is not a spoiler. But like, yeah, we see that's where we're headed towards, of course. That's where the manga heads towards. And then after that, we cut to Yoshitoki Washu talking about, we found the CCG's base on Rushima, interspersed with what I think are maybe flash forwards to the Rushima fight. A lot of it, so the anime feels like kind of messed with the order a little bit. As I recall, the actual Rushima operation does not start until Ayato and Banjo invade Kokli at the end of this episode. And yet we see it here, it's all before that. And at first I thought, yeah, it's just a flash forward, and then we cut back in time. But at the end of that sequence, Eto, who has not been arrested yet, takes Ayato to the mainland, as much as Japan can have a mainland. And later on, Banjo mentions that the CCG is currently fighting Aogiri. So it's all just kind of weird. I hope these are flash forwards. There's a lot of great shit in the Rushima arc, and it seems like we're just really blazing through it. Like we see Suzuya fighting, major spoilers just in case. We see all of the Mutsuki stuff. There is so much important Mutsuki shit on the Rushima Island arc, and I really, really hope they don't cut that. Because without the Rushima arc, nothing the Quinces do for the rest of the series makes any sense. They're kind of born into their new forms on Rushima. Mutsuki most dramatically, but even Urie and Psycho to a smaller extent. But after that, we get the OP. And the song is great, don't get me wrong. You really just can't go wrong with TK. He's phenomenal, from Unravel to Signal from 91 Days to everything he's done is incredible. But the video doesn't really give me all that much to work with. You know, the last one, the first reopening, you know, really just laid out everything that happened in Season 1. And Route A's, which is a phenomenal opening, does not get the credit it deserves, was just the super abstract thing, just really getting into Kaneki's headspace. The video for the final opening just seems to be kind of in the middle. You know, it shows us the characters, it shows us Kaneki, it shows us Toka, and I think that's it. So honestly, I'm not the biggest fan. As far as the video goes, just kind of there. The song's alright. The song's good, you know, it's TK. But yeah, it's not my favorite. It's no Unravel, it's no Muno. I haven't decided if it's even Asphyxia yet. But yeah, anyway, moving on. We open back up, after the opening, with Black Reaper Kaneki, working with Furuta and terrifying Eto's editor. And I feel like this is where kind of the cracks in Ghoul's adaptation really starts to show. Because really, I blazed through the manga. So, unlike something like Fairy Tail, where I can easily remember something that happened like 3 years ago, as anyone who's watched my Fairy Tail videos will see, Ghoul, I started December of last year and caught up just in time for the ending. So I blazed through it in like 7 months, and it's all kind of blurred together as a result. So I remember there being a lot more to this. You know, first of all, I remember Edo having been caught by the CCG, and then she asked for one last press conference for her book that she had already written. That's how I remember this happening in the manga. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the anime, I'm going to treat... I should not have said all that because I'm trying to treat these reviews as completely divorced from the manga whatsoever, as much as they can be. But yeah, Kaneki, after having gotten his memories back after his fight with Edo, is just kind of done with, like, he fucking hates everything, you know, he's knocking shit around, and Edo's editor is not very happy. Though by the end of the episode, he will not be having any of those problems because Burita has cooked him up. Pay very close attention. When we get to that scene, there's a whole lot to discuss in that scene. Really, you find out almost everything about Burita in that one scene. But I'll get to that when I get to it. And then Edo comes out as a ghoul. Not as gay, but she might be. Not judging, but she comes out as a ghoul at the press conference. Ayato is there. I'm assuming the CCG does not know that Ayato is the Black Rabbit, or even recognize Ayato's face, because Kaneki sure has not told them, because they just kind of let Ayato go. So I don't know, that happened. Though we get Yoshimura's, Edo's flashback as how she became, Sen Zakatsuki, the writer, and we find out that until she became a published author, she was still using Yoshimura's last name, which is really sweet. But then, you know, her editor finds the human blood in her fridge, and oh no, she's a ghoul. And then the anime does go into all the stuff about, Edo wants to create a world where ghouls and humans can get along, which is great, you know, that's really important stuff. I don't know, it's going somewhere. But Kaneki, who was walked this press conference, did not seem to have been very long. And Kaneki seemed to be pretty far away from the press conference. And yet, all of a sudden, midway through the press conference, he just pops up and right next to Ayato, who does not recognize him, despite the fact that his smell should be distinct enough that Ayato can smell him, because, he's a half-human, and there aren't that many half-humans running around. Or half-ghoul, I should say, because, as you will later find out, half-human is a whole other thing. It's confusing, I don't entirely get it. But yeah. So Kanaki's there, he lets Ayato go, he tells Ayato about Hinami, which is really... It was kind of assumed that, Kaneki had his memories back at this point, but the fact that he tells him, go save Hinami, is really the point that he has his Kaneki memories back. But yeah, after that, everyone freaks out. The book comes out, for one thing, Belager the King. Belager is like Norse for one who has lost an eye, and so people very quickly figure out that it's about the One-Eyed King. And then we find out Arima and Furuta both work for the same evil overlords, who we eventually find out the anime cuts no corners where Rude did. This is V. Which leads us to some important manga stuff. So Rude, I love Rude, because, for one thing, Rude gets a lot of shit for not following the manga or whatever, but a lot of what Rude cut was the Studio Pierrot or Shuei Morita or someone did not think they would ever adapt a Re. And so... The anime cut out plot lines that did not really go anywhere in the original manga. For example, one that comes up very important right now, when the leader of V tells Arima to find Rize in the manga. So if you watch the anime and the anime only, Rize died in episode 1. What the fuck? In the manga, it was eventually revealed that the doctor who had done the organ transplant to turn Kaneki into a ghoul, Dr. Kano, had intentionally done that, and that everything is kind of his plan to study these things, working with the clowns, and that after the Steel Beam incident, he had put Rize's Kakuho, the Kagane-producing organ, into Kaneki, and then spirited Rize away, because ghouls regenerate. And so he would, take Rize's Kakuho and put it in new ghouls. This is where the Black and White Twins Season 2 came into fruition. That's why they have the same Kagane as Kaneki. And then over the course of the original manga, Yomo shows up. Well, Kaneki's whole group, which I'll get into in a little bit, because that's more manga stuff. Kaneki's whole group invades Kano's lab to try to get to Rize. And then all of a sudden, Yomo shows up and spirits Rize away, working under Yoshimura because he had a deal with Shachi, I think it was. It's been a while. The whole thing is kind of confusing. But yeah, so Rize's alive, because Ri is very much a sequel to the Ghoul manga, and not Rude. Speaking of even more important manga stuff, V. V seems to come out of left field if you only watch the anime, because in the anime, as I recall, the group that the young Yoshimura was a part of is murdered by Yoshimura at the end, as I recall. But in the manga, this does not happen. This is V, who are behind really everything in the series. And Edo does reveal at the end that Kuzen, the young Yoshimura, was a part of V. When they're discussing the RC gate scene, which is another thing the anime never really brought up, for better or for worse. But whatever. So then we get the very beginning of the Rize flashback. There's a lot more to Rize's flashback before this point. I imagine it'll get brought up later on as the series goes on, because it's pretty important. We find out that she was running away from, we eventually learn from Eto V, where she finds Shachi, he raises her, she takes his last name of Kamishiro, which is all stuff the manga kind of touched on. The anime, alright, so Shachi's weird. Because even in the manga, they made an even bigger deal about Shachi than the anime did. And he just wasn't really that important. I actually kind of like him more in the manga, because the anime in the manga there's a big build up. Kaneki, Aogiri wants Shachi, and I think Kaneki's group wanted Shachi, and Shachi's old gang wanted Shachi. There's this whole war that never really went anywhere over Shachi, as I recall. It's been a while since I read this. And he's never really goes anywhere. He's just this character. There's not a whole lot to his character, I don't think. He's just always been kind of weird. I don't know. He's just never really worked. And then he's killed by Arima at the end of this episode. But pay attention to Shashi mentions it's weird you can fight with those eyes. Pay attention to that. That's important. And then Ayato is broken away from Edo's press conference and wanders into Banjo's group in the 6th Ward to tell him to help Hinami, who is going to be disposed of in a few days. And if you only watch the anime, there's another thing that the anime did not show. In the anime, instead of joining Aogiri, Kaneki forms his own group with Banjo and his gang, Hinami, and Tsukiyama. This is also where a lot of manga readers complain about Tsukiyama's character development. I have mixed thoughts on that. But the reason Banjo is willing to, sacrifice his men to save Hinami is because of this prior relationship through part 1. And then, this was also kind of shown last season. Tsukiyama has flashbacks to his days with Kaneki's group. It was really the first moment where we confirmed that it was not a Route A sequel, but instead a manga sequel. But yeah. And then we have that phenomenal conversation between Eto and Furuta in the jail cell. Pay attention to everything that is said in this line. From "you clown" at Furuta, Furuta's ability to cook up people, Edo reveals that he's a Washu, but that he can't call his father, and that's a sore spot for Furuta. There's so much going on there. I'm not going to get into it because Furuta's backstory will hopefully take the time it needs to really come into its own. But yeah, beyond that, Kaneki opens the roof of Cochlea to allow Ayato and Banjo's group to invade. Meanwhile, Eto seems to have predicted all of this, and Kaneki comes for Hinami. And that's where the episode ends on. We get our ending. Our ending theme is pretty much nothing. I'm super disappointed by that, because Osterreich, however they're pronounced, did the opening theme for Route A, and it's phenomenal. It's kind of overshadowed by Unravel, because Unravel was the song of that whole year. But Muno is a great song. It's super chilling, it's just a beautiful piece. And Osterreich did that opening and is doing this ending. And there's nothing, the video is nothing, the song is nothing. I don't know, it's just kind of there. Beyond that, we are advancing real far next week. Just looking through the next time preview, it's kind of absurd. But there is a lot of material to cover, and I'm hoping the anime can do it justice. They're definitely gonna cut out shit, of course. But most of their cuts have been sort of trimming the fat. Because Ghoul is a ridiculously technical manga. There's the original anime. I actually loved it for this. The manga and these last 2 seasons have this super complicated Pokemon style type effectiveness chart for Kagane. And it's stupid. It's really stupid. And the anime, in its gloriousness, got rid of it because it's stupid. It's just stupid. But I'm hoping it's been a while since I read this stuff, and again, I read it real fast. So I'm not entirely, I don't remember all the details as well as maybe I should, so maybe there's a lot of superfluous stuff in here. But yeah, we're getting through a good chunk of the Cochlea raid next week, or on Tuesday. And this was 20 or 30 chapters, I think, in the manga. Admittedly, the manga, this was very much interspersed with the Rushima stuff, and it looks like we're not getting that. At least that cut back and forth kind of thing the manga did. I'm hoping we will still get the Rushima stuff, because again, it's very important for the Quinces. But yeah, that's really my thoughts on this episode. It's just still a fascinating, I looked up on the wiki, this was 10 chapters, and there is no way 10 chapters in a half-hour episode should have worked half as well as this did. So the Ghoul anime continues to fascinate me. It just should not work as well as it does. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed this episode and the video. If you did, feel free to drop me a like, subscribe, fill out that straw poll. I forgot to mention it in my long rambling intro. The fall 2018 season straw poll anime review thing still going until Monday. So fill that out. It'll be down in the description down below. And, do whatever the fuck you want. I don't really care. And as always, people, keep kicking ass, and I'll see you in the future. Bye!